What's up everybody, Shri Kanase here. So I've made a lot of videos on my channel going over tutorials, going over strategies, how I do this, how I do that. But there is one thing that I didn't really notice I have ever done, and that is to actually review and audit a real e-commerce brand's Google Ads account live. And just recently, I had the opportunity to talk with an e-commerce brand owner who was really not finding the amount of success he wanted to achieve with Google Ads, and as a result, he had signed up to basically talk with me under my Google Ads agency, Your Marketing. And today we're gonna be auditing this Google Ads account right from the beginning, right from scratch, to not only show you how I go about the process of basically going from start to finish, trying to figure out exactly what's going wrong, but also then how I come up with solutions and better strategies to turn around the Google Ads accounts. By the way, this is the exact strategy I go through regardless of what account I'm looking at, regardless of what niche it is in. So if you're a high ticket store, low ticket store, it pretty much does not matter. So let's get right into the Google Ads account and start from basically scratch, understanding what's going on with this ad account, exactly what kind of things I would look at to then figure out where the issue is and how we can come in and actually improve the overall results. So right here on the screen, you're not going to see a lot of information because of privacy issues for obvious reasons, but I will try to show you as much as possible based on the things I look at, my overall strategic approach towards auditing or just reviewing any type of Google Ads account. By the way, this e-commerce client is now working with us under my Google Ads agency, Your Marketing. And if you are currently doing $30,000 or more per month in revenue, you need a little bit of extra help scaling your e-commerce brand to the next level, go on to my website at yourmarketing.com and book a free call with me to see how we can possibly work together and make it happen. But actually, the first step of any review or any audit of a Google Ads account doesn't necessarily start off with the Google Ads account itself. For me, it actually starts off on the website, so with the URL. And for the sake of this example, I'm going to be pretending that this is our website right here. So this website is called Kenzie, and it's pretty much kenzie.com. But the reason why I'm deciding to use this as an example for this video is simply because the brand that we are now working with here is very similar in terms of the overall layout, in terms of the overall products, to what is getting sold here. So first things first, to kind of get you a little bit of context with the e-commerce brand, it is very similar as I mentioned. So here we're selling a lot of IPL laser removers, and if you have been in the e-commerce space for a while, you know that this was one of the biggest winning products in 2019, 2020, but pretty much a lot of e-commerce brands decided to continue selling a product like this. So simply put, that's why we are going to be doing a review and pretending as if Kenzie right here is the account where we're looking at right now. So the first thing that I mentioned is that my work actually begins with the overall landing page, and it doesn't matter if it's the product page or if it's the home page, because what I'm trying to do is with a special Chrome extension called the Google Tag Assistant, you can just download it for free. Just go on to Google Chrome, and by the way, I recommend Google Chrome for this step. Go on Google Chrome, type in Google Tag Assistant Legacy, and you need to simply download this one, because once you have it fully installed, what's going to happen is it's going to tell you a lot of valuable information. So right here, as you can see, I get to know exactly which kind of tags are currently firing on this product page or this landing page, whatever landing page it is. And the most important thing I'm looking at is that this landing page, number one, does not have any types of issues, but also number two, has the correct number of tags installed. So for a normal e-commerce store owner, usually you only want 3 different tags firing up, maximum of 4. So in this case, what would be an ideal scenario is 1 global site tag firing, which is again related to the Google Ads account itself. Number 2, it should also be firing the Google Ads remarketing tag, which is again also related to the Google Ads account itself. This measures all of the remarketing efforts and kind of tracks the necessary data so that you can effectively do remarketing in your campaigns later on. But number 3, Google Analytics. I mean, these 3 are a given, they are a must. Google Tag Manager is not needed if you have manually installed all of these. And if you have installed these 3 and you have Google Tag Manager, that just tells me that there is actually a double installation, because essentially what the Google Tag Manager does is it installs all of these codes all over again. So essentially, this could be very well a double installation. But those are the things I'm looking for here. And as you see on the screen right here with the brand that we are working with in this video, this brand had multiple different global site tags and just multiple different issues when it came to conversion tracking. That is the first thing I saw with this brand when I was looking at it. And obviously that's not a good sign, because this means a lot of the data they might be getting within their Google Ads account, so right here, it might be actually not accurate data. And whether the conversion tracking itself is off or not, that's something that we check later on. But initially, it looks like because there's multiple tags firing on the home page, on the product page, what could be happening is a lot of the things that we see, like for example, link clicks and any other metric right here, which directly tells you what a customer is doing on your product page, how they're interacting and all of that stuff, that has the potential of being fully incorrect, which is why it's so essential for you to start with checking conversion tracking tags. Now, if you are already an established e-commerce brand, you're already doing 50K, 100K a month, still check this, because I can't tell you how many times I talk to e-commerce store owners where they're doing $1 million, $2 million, even $5 million or more per year in revenue, and they don't have proper conversion tracking tags set up. I mean, it's really a big mess, and that's not important just for you so you know exactly what's going on, but how else are your campaigns gonna optimize if you're feeding them the wrong data? And pretty much they're not gonna optimize properly, at least. So you gotta make sure that you take care of this first step. But once I kind of identify the leaks in the bucket from conversion tracking, this brings me onto the actual campaign side of things, onto the Google Ads dashboard side of things. So next thing I like to do is I like to click on this segment little thing right here with the 3 lines. And I like to go down to conversions to conversion action, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to basically look at all of the conversion actions that are coming up here to see if there are multiple tags firing. Because with an ad account with multiple different conversion tracking tags, or just multiple different conversion actions under the measurement and conversion section, this is going to have multiple tags firing, which is something you don't want. So for example, right here, it says contact us SOL8. That is type of conversion action that's firing and actually counting as conversion. So for example, if we scroll to the right, we can see that right here, it says 5.70 conversions, but it's not actually 5.70 conversions, because the contact us SOL8 conversion event actually fired 1.52 times. And in case you're wondering why it's 0.52, that's because it's using a certain attribution model which calculates based off of certain percentages. So it's not a full 1, 2, 3, it's 1.5, 1.75, and so on and so forth, because customer who might have seen this ad, which is essentially a retargeting ad, might not have directly bought from here, they might have come from another campaign. So that's why this campaign decided to only kind of give about half of that conversions value to this campaign, because again, the reality is this campaign did not drive a whole conversion. It kind of contributed to about 50% of that conversion coming in. So it's a little bit complicated. I've made videos on this in case you want to know more, but obviously it says 5.70 conversions, but that's not true, because under purchase conversion event, it only says it got 4.17 conversions. And then the contact us, maybe it's the contact us page firing or whatever the case might be, it counts as 1.52 conversion. So in reality, this campaign actually only got 4.17 conversions. Now, the good thing is the conversion value says 0, so this conversion value might be accurate. We're not fully sure yet. But obviously, you know, this is an issue because it's saying the wrong kind of information. And again, the campaign is going to think it got 5 sales when in reality, it only got 4 sales. And if this happens too often, which it will if you don't catch it early on, it's going to start to think it's doing the right things because it's getting so many conversions, and it's going to try and show your ad more and more to these individuals, which might again not be a good thing. So that's essentially what I'm seeing with the segment and the conversions action right here, just to see what is the overall status of the account. And you can check it a bit further by just going down to total accounts and opening this window up to see what kind of different conversion events are firing. So we see contact us fired about 2.52 times, so it led to basically 2.52 conversions. And then it has all of these other things like add to cart, begin checkout. The good thing is they're not firing, so that's what we want. But once I kind of make sure of that, the next step I'm taking is not going inside the actual account, but going on to tools and settings to conversions, because now I want to see a bit deeper into what kind of conversion events they have firing. And this is something you should be doing for your own accounts, by the way. You want to follow along as I'm doing this for the best results. But what you essentially want to do, and what I'm essentially trying to check for here, is that I'm trying to make sure that there's only one conversion event, regardless of whatever it is, that has the primary account optimization status chosen. So as you can see right here, it says primary for purchase. That's a good thing, because if there were multiple primary ones, that means multiple of your campaigns are firing for not only one event, but multiple events. And you can probably already guess how that's not a good thing. So the main one should be primary. The other ones can be secondary. Like this one, it says transaction. So this I assume is from Google Analytics, which it says right there. It calculated about 11 conversions for this month. from Google Analytics alone. So that means because there's a discrepancy between the conversion tracking here and between Google Analytics, there might be a bigger issue we're not aware of. So always check this to make sure there's only one primary event firing, and things like under the add to cart, if there's another primary there, that's fine because that's saying the primary event under this subsection of add to cart. So this is completely different from this first subsection of purchases. So we want to make sure within each subsection there's only one primary event, which there is, by the way, within this. Next thing I like to do is click on the actual conversion tracking event, so whatever it is, just choose that specific one, which is the main one, and then look at which attribution model the account is running off of. So here, and whether position based is the correct one or not, it simply depends on the ad account, how much data it has, and so on and so forth. But in my opinion and experience, what I prefer to live by is basically last click for brand new ad accounts, and then linear once that ad account has started to get more and more results. Because if you hover over linear right here, it's going to tell you that linear distributes the credit for the conversion equally across all clicks on the path. Whereas with position based, this is where it kind of gets a bit funky. Like we saw earlier, it was 1.52, 1.73, and so on and so forth. I mean, it might really be ideal, but here, as you can see, it says gives 40% of the credit to both the first and last clicks and distributes 20% among other clicks. I mean, sure, that sounds fancy and all, but is that really necessary? And in my experience, that's really not necessary. It adds a bit extra complication. So if I were to change things here, which I will be doing shortly, I would change this to linear right here. But so that's essentially what I'm checking in the first place to understand what kind of attribution model the account is working on. Because if you think about it, this is extremely important because it entirely decides how your conversions are recorded. And again, this goes back to the campaigns getting that data. If the conversions are not reported properly, then the campaigns won't be able to optimize properly. So that's essentially what I'm checking. Those are the first 2 to 3 steps I'm taking from the website, then back to the back end right there. But once that's done, then we actually move on to the campaign side of things. So with the campaign side of things, I like to start off at the top. First things first, I like to get a general idea of how long the campaigns have been running. So with this ad account, we can see that since January of 2021, this account has been running, and it was running at a fairly decent ROAS. I mean, during this time period, if we change this to cost, that's the first thing I like to look at compared to conversion value over cost. We can see in the month of February of 2021, they spent only $253 to make back almost a 20x ROAS, which is, a decent number right there. But the ROAS started to dip significantly as the cost started to go up, but it was pretty decent still, considering the fact that this break-even ROAS for this account is about a 1.7x. That is a pretty good number to have. So it used to be profitable for the longest time ever until all of a sudden the ads were stopped in November of 2021 for one whole month, basically from November all the way up to December. And then once November, December passed and January, ads were started again, and the ROAS, even though it was sort of at the same level as before, it started to drop after a certain time period, basically in March, and it has not picked up since. So that's what I'm trying to see. I'm trying to understand what the results were previously, if they were good results, if they were bad results, and if they were good results or whatever the case might be, what caused the results to change. So here we can see that results basically started to kind of go down after January and February. So that might kind of explain why the e-commerce brand owner decided to reach out to us. But even then, one thing you want to understand is there's a lot of external issues in 2022 going on, like the recession, that can also affect things like this. But now that we have a general idea of what is not working, what I like to do is basically start looking at 1 to 2 months prior to when the results were good, and then when there's basically dropped down. So let's go ahead and look from January of this year all the way down to today when I'm recording this video, which is basically August 25th. So from January until today, what we want to do is we want to look at all of the campaigns. That's what I'm always doing, by the way, just to get a general idea of how everything was performing, what was working the best. So during this time period, it looks like this first campaign, which is a PMAX campaign, was spending the most money. And if we go inside, we can see that during this time period, it was getting decent number of conversions. But if we change it to conversion value over cost, we can also see that as soon as this campaign was starting to scale, the ROAS started to drop significantly. So obviously, that's going to happen, but this dropped all the way down to a 0.67 and a 1x, which is of course not good. So that just tells me that whatever strategy was going on here within this ad account, it was not the best type of strategy. And if we go inside asset groups, for example, we can see a little bit further as to what was done within the asset groups, because believe it or not, a lot of these performance max campaigns are failing if you do exactly what I just saw right here. So first things first, if you were an OG follower of my videos, comment down below what the issue is right here with all of these assets that you see. And if you are, again, one of my original followers, you've watched my PMAX videos, then you know already right off the bat what the issue is. But just take a quick second, comment down below, pause this video. Alright, hopefully you have commented down below, but right off the bat, what I want to tell you is that with this ad account and this specifically campaign, what I'm seeing is number one, there's way too many assets within each asset group, but there's multiple different asset groups for some reason, all running at a $20 a day budget. Now, during the peak of this specific campaign, they might have been running at a bigger budget. So we now change this to just daily. We can see a little bit further as to how this was doing. So let me go ahead and look into this actual time period of March. So we're going to change this from January all the way up to March, just the month of March, to get a general idea of the daily budget. So we can see it was spending about $177 and it was fluctuating up and down. And in the peak time, it was spending all the way up to $300. So with that budget, even with that budget, I personally don't believe, based on my experience, it's ideal to have this many asset groups, because what happens is if we go on over to listing groups, we can see what's going on with all of these asset groups. First things first, you have different asset groups right here, and in addition, each asset group is targeting something else. So as you can see right here, the overall cost per asset group is totally spread out. This asset group, if you just rank it by the cost, this top one spent the most money, whereas the next one right here, the lowest one, and it looks like they have a lot of different asset groups right here. This one spent $0, and this one also barely spent $1. So we can't really say this asset group is worse than this one right here, because this never got the opportunity to get shown enough times. And that's the main issue with a strategy like this, when you have multiple different asset groups all running at the same time. I mean, it just doesn't lead you to the right kind of results. So that's one major issue I already see with this. And if you are doing this yourself, you want to stop doing this. You want to have multiple different campaigns per asset group. So as we can see, every single asset group had the same kind of images and everything was the same essentially. What was the different thing was the audience signals. That's a good thing to do, but you should be doing every new audience signal within each own campaign for maximum results. And plus, if that wasn't bad enough, if we now look right here under status, it says the ads were actually clickbait. So this is a policy violation. Obviously, if the Google thinks the ads are clickbait, then it's really not going to show the ads much to anybody. So this is something you want to be keeping track of within your Performance Max campaigns. And now, if we now go on over to the settings, because once I take a good look at asset groups, I usually move on to the settings section. I like to look at what the settings were done here. So first things first, I start off with location to make sure the target option, the second one, is chosen, which is this circle right here. But unfortunately for this account, the first option was chosen. So that's one major issue right away. And then we can see a target ROAS was set of 150%. I don't understand even still now why e-commerce brands love to do this, why e-commerce brand store owners do this all the time. Because if you don't know, Google Ads with smart shopping campaigns and with smart bidding in general, the main target ROAS, the default one, if you don't check this box at all, it's 200%. So why would you go in and why would you set a target ROAS percentage of 150%? It just doesn't make sense to me, but I just see way too many e-commerce brands doing this. So that's another reason why so many of them really don't make it through a certain level of success with Performance Max campaigns. But already we identified major issues with the PMax campaign like this. And what I like to do is just kind of get a general idea of what the most spending campaign was doing in terms of the settings, all of that good stuff. Because if the most performing ad set was running on those settings, then most likely all these other campaigns are doing the same thing. But once I have a general idea of the most ad spending budget campaign, I like to look at all the other campaigns to get a general idea of what they were. So here, it looks like it's very interesting, by the way, that a lot of these were actually search campaigns. So this one is search campaign, this one a dynamic search campaign, and same thing with this one right here. So all of these were search campaigns, and the interesting part is the last shopping campaign this ad account actually ran was quite some time ago. So if we now look at the time period when this was running, it looks like it last spent some money during May. So since May, this campaign has not spent any type of money at all. So that really tells me whether or not shopping campaigns were given a try within this ad account. And again, what we're trying to see is what kind of campaigns were run during this time period. So it looks like, again, some Performance Max campaigns were run. And by the way, whenever you see this little icon right here, this little symbol, just know that that Performance Max campaign was not set up properly, because the right way to set up a Performance Max campaign is the following way. So you choose sales right here, you come down here, click continue, and then you choose shopping, and then from here you choose performance max right here. But if you see that symbol that I was talking about earlier, that means that e-commerce store owner decided to click performance max right here, which is not really something you want to do because this is targeting more on the display side of things, the search side of things. You don't want to choose that. You would rather want to choose shopping because shopping is where it's shopping campaigns plus search and all of the other stuff. So that's essentially what I'm trying to get a general idea of when I'm looking at these ad accounts. And then now once I get a general idea of what the campaigns were running based on this time period, then I like to look at only those enabled campaigns to see right now what is performing the best. And by the way, I like to look at it first at that time period. I like to change it to just the last 30 days. So right now we see no more shopping campaigns are running that are currently enabled because it's a lot of YouTube campaigns, which is a very interesting thing for this ad account. So that tells me right away that there is potential for this brand to grow with shopping campaigns as well as some better search campaigns, because this search campaign right here is running at a 1.87x ROAS, and that's the next thing I look at, which is what is in the last 30 days spending the most money and since when is it not getting results. So it looks like during this time period it was getting results until something happened on April 10th. And if we go to change history, we can see exactly what was done on that time period, which caused this campaign to come crashing down. So it looks like on this time period there were different changes being made, but specifically a recommendation auto apply was done. Yep, this is exactly why you don't want to trust Google and you would rather have smarter people handling your ad account, because Google's recommendations, they're a no-go. I mean, I don't need to say anything more. You can just see for yourself looking at this right here. It killed this campaign, unfortunately. And it's not to say those were the only changes being done. I mean, first of all, I see that these triangles, they're very close to each other, which means this e-commerce store owner was making changes way too frequently, and that's not something you want to be doing. So that's essentially what I'm seeing right here, just way too many changes being done all at once. And again, that's going to lead to a lot of interesting things happening. And like this right here, what happened was this campaign got fully crushed and destroyed. So that's essentially what I'm seeing here. So we have already identified that because of a lot of changes being done on this ad account, not just with this campaign, but for all the other campaigns as well, that might have caused these campaigns to just end up getting destroyed. Because now if we look at how the performance has been within the last few days on a daily basis, and we change it to last 30 days alone, we can see performance is no go at all. I mean, the ROAS just dropped all the way to a 0. And as you can see right here, they're spending a decent amount of money, but there is no results coming in. And by the way, today is the first day I'm seeing this ad account. We have not done any changes at all here. So that just gives me a very general idea, and it kind of told me, I kind of understood based off of the review I did with this ad account is, number one, this ad account was achieving good level of success before, but number two, as soon as that success was starting to get achieved, there was somebody coming in and making changes way too often, which caused the success to just get destroyed. And then number three, as they started to launch more and more campaigns, their settings started to kind of be incorrect. So they were targeting multiple different countries. I mean, if we just now go ahead and look at this campaign right here, for example, the Performance Max campaign, and look at the settings, we can see that within the settings, multiple different countries are getting targeted. I mean, that's a no-go right off the bat. You don't want to be doing that because it really confuses the campaign even more. And keep in mind, PMax is fully data-driven. So if it's already data-driven, why would you want to make his life harder by making it target a bunch of random countries which have no similarities to each other? So this tells me that because the settings in the backend were not set up properly, the campaigns eventually reached a point where they were just not able to continue getting those results, and the results started to drop off slowly. I mean, this was a buildup of over time. This did not happen overnight. A continuous repeat of bad strategies and just bad implementation with a bunch of different campaigns getting launched with the same kind of settings. Like, I mean, 26 campaigns running right now. This caused this account to kind of go down the drain. So now that we know exactly what's going wrong, now we can come in with the better strategies. And usually what I do is I revamp the old campaigns, number one, but also number two, I shut a lot of these off to then launch new ones, because already we can see, even though there's 26 campaigns, none of them are really providing the results we want to get, because I mean, the ROAS is at a 0.24x. It's at the lowest of the lowest. So this is where we come in and just make strategies better and everything. But that's pretty much how I audit a brand new Google Ads account that I just start to handle. And even though this is not a brand new ad account in its natural sense, meaning this ad account has been spending money for over a year now, this is sort of the process I like to go through. And if you're not getting the desirable results that you would like, then maybe it's time for you to review your ad account like I did right here. I mean, the best thing you can do is just watch this video all over again and step by step follow me as I go through this and do it along with me. But if you would like part 2 to this video, if you want to know how I go in and actually start implementing all of the solutions, all of the changes, and so on and so forth, let me know down in the comment section. But if you're currently doing $30,000 or more per month in revenue, you need a little bit of extra help scaling to the next level with Google Ads, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and book a free call with me to see how we can possibly work together and make that happen. But if you found any type of value in this video, destroy that like button, destroy that subscribe button, and watch any of these 2 videos right in front of my face to take your e-commerce journey to the next level, and I will see you in my next video.